All right. It looks like we've already got a few people here. We're going to get started in a few minutes. I'm going to be doing introductions, and then we're going to be talking about the $500,000 in vouchers that are going to be issued nationwide under the Universal Housing Program that I talked about earlier last year. So first of all, I want to tell you guys, we had an explosive amount of traffic for about a week and acquired a lot of subscribers. And so I just want to let you know we hit 10,000 finally. It's unbelievable. It took 6 years to do that, but so I'm kind of pleased about that. Also, a lot of you guys have asked about me being sick. Yes, I'm still sick. I still have an infection, and I'm still trying to work through that. But there's no need to be worried about it. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. So now, for those of you that don't know me, I own Section8Consulting.com, and I help people with Section 8 housing vouchers, and many, many other things. And matter of fact, I want to provide you all with a little bit of information. And before I'm going to do that, I'm going to let you guys know this will be a little bit of a long video. I do introductions in the beginning, so if you're kind of been patient, you may want to bookmark this and come back, in about 10 minutes, because there's a whole lot to cover when it comes to this program. So before I get into that long conversation, I like to cover, some of the basic essentials for our channel. So I'm going to grab a few links for you guys. And copy. So now most of you should have a chat window. If you can see it, it allows you to chat with me if you have questions or anything like that. I ask that you kind of reserve that for a few minutes while I get through everything I've got to say, and then we'll move into that. So what I'm going to put up here, for those of you that are struggling with housing, okay, I'm not selling anything. If you need a consultant to help you with that, that's certainly what I'm here to do. That's what I've been doing for 20 years and 6 years on YouTube. So that link here that I just put in the chat window, that's a way for you to book an appointment if you feel it is necessary. That is it. So now I'm going to pop out the window and we're going to move on. That way I can kind of monitor what you guys are saying. So what we're going to be talking about is going to be Biden's 2020 spending. I'm going to pull it up here and I can see it. So Biden's 2020 spending request is expected to be submitted to Congress for approval in the next few months. Now, last year I was the second person and the quickest, second to most quickest to mention the universal housing vouchers. I think if it wasn't for the pandemic or COVID, that we would have already approached the situation where we would already have expanded this program, all right? But the COVID has caused all kinds of problems, and so we had to allocate money in different areas. Otherwise, I think this might have already happened. So it's called a Waters bill. It's under draft, and will be, looks like the universal housing vouchers will be approaching that for 2022. So we're going to get some answers, and so I expect this probably to roll out. We'll have a definitive answer in a few months and towards the end of the year, and then in 2020 it'll start to roll out. So I'm going to go over some of the details of it. Joe Biden's seeking a $9 billion increase for the Department of Housing and Urban Development, which is better known as HUD, and that is the people that issues the checks, obviously, down to the housing authorities, which are owned by the county and every one of your cities. His discretionary financial fund for spending requests, he's proposing a major expansion of the key HUD programs. Now, for those of you that don't know, it's been woefully underfunded, over 20 years now, and a lot of major cuts. I think in most ordinary years, we're getting around 50 or 60 billion or less funded into the program, and so it creates a lot of problems. Now, what we currently have is $30.4 billion for the Housing Choice Voucher program, and an increase of $5.4 billion over the 2021 level. And that should maintain us where we normally are. And then you have the situation where an additional 200,000 households of those who are particularly homeless or fleeing domestic violence will be the newer recipients for the 200,000. Now we have another $3.5 billion going to homeless assistance programs, an increase of $500 million over the next year, and then would complement the $5 billion in additional funding. So you see, I'm covering some of the finer details right now. Trust me, we'll get to the point. In addition to that, we have $1.9 billion for the Home Investment Partnership Program. For those of you that are on your computer and Googling, that is called the Home Investment Partnership Program. I do not do consulting for purchase of home you need to contact a real estate agent, a broker, and then those real estate agents and brokers must be certified by HUD. I'm not talking about that stuff anymore. You guys have hounded me pretty badly. I would love to, but you need to be licensed to do so. All right. So with that being said, we're looking at a 500 million increase. That's pretty significant. And I know a lot of people have been talking about the 15 to 25,000 down payment. Again, you want to look into that independently. So according to the administration, this would be the highest level of home funding since 2009, which is a good thing. The proposal provides 180 million to support 2,000 units of new permanently affordable housing for elderly and or other persons with disabilities. What it equates to is a tremendous amount of housing that's going to be put under the infrastructure plan that Biden has already got out there. Now, moving on from that, we're talking about 3.8 billion of community development block grant. So for those of you that want to understand that better, it's called the Community Development Block Grant Program. Google that. Now, that includes targeted increase of 295 million to incentivize communities to direct formulas, and it goes on to other things. But in other words, they're going to maintain better on the property. So they cut off a lot of funding. That's how project-based housing turns into a slum. You no longer maintain it. You no longer pay people well enough to run it, and then you have a problem there. So they're looking at trying to fix that persistent problem. Then we have another 3.2 billion for Public Housing Capital Fund, and that's about a $500 million increase. Another 900 million to fund tribal efforts. And by the way, guys, if you don't know this, Department of HUD and Development in Indian Affairs. A lot of you guys leave that off the end of that. HUD in its most principal form was designed specifically for Indians. Not you. Look it up. Even when you look up on LincolnHUD.gov, Indian Affairs, you'll see that a lot. They're talking about Indians. I think you know what I mean. Anyways, another 85 million grants to support state and local fair housing enforcement and organizations. Well, I'm going to tell you, I could give that 85 million to Ms. Fudge because she's been on an absolute rampage suing housing authorities acting unethically. So I think we should probably give her a bonus. She's done more in her meager 1 year than I think that most of them have done over the last 10 or 20 years. So I think she's done an incredible, impeccable job of doing what she needs to do. So with that being said, hopefully you guys can hear me. I should have done an audio check, but I didn't. So I'm not seeing comments about you not being able to hear me. So I'm assuming we're doing well. Now, when we look at this all combined with 40 billion, they're looking at also recapitalizing public housing infrastructure in the American Jobs Plan. Now, the American Jobs Plan is inside the infrastructure plan. I know most of you are starting to get confused at this point. So basically what we're talking about is President Joe Biden's $4.4 trillion infrastructure plan, which has a bunch of other bills built into it. That's where that universal housing voucher program and funding from Ms. Waters, which is a representative, that's what they call it, the Waters bill, is going to be tucked in there for the 2020 discretionary budget. And that's what we're going to talk about specifically next. I just wanted to give you all a few details. So with that being said, we already know there's 4.4 trillion going into infrastructure. So let me give you a quick fact about things you guys rarely hear. The voucher program funds up to 70% of a household's rent. But here's an interesting fact. Only about a fifth of the households eligible for housing vouchers actually receive them. 1/5. This would change dramatically. Because we don't just need to create new housing. We actually need to be able to actually accept people that actually qualify. What's the point of a program if you run it and only a fifth of the people can actually get it when they qualify? You see how difficult my job is sometimes? Even though I know you're highly qualified, you have every preference in the planet. If there simply isn't funding, then the telephone and the doors get locked at the housing authority. So let me give you a little bit of background. The program serves about 2.3 million households with an additional 8.2 million in qualifying for aid without getting any. And so that's 2.3 million people that can't even get what they need. The need so outstrips the funds available that local public housing authorities charge with distributing these vouchers can have what we already suspect they have, very long waiting lists unless you have exceptional need for it and you can prove such. And that's what I work with my clients to do, is kind of manipulate a system that's already rigged, in my opinion, but that is my opinion strictly. So here it comes. The water draft bill would increase the number of vouchers incrementally for 5 years. The important thing is incrementally increase for 5 years. then it would guarantee subsidies for all who qualify by 2026. In other words, we're going to inch up, and then when 2026 hit, that's it. The floodgates open. So at least we're not going to flood the system immediately, but it's going to be pretty fast. 2022 to 2026 is a 4-year span to completely roll it out. Biden's two infrastructure proposals, referred to as the American Jobs Act. The Jobs Act is inside the infrastructure plan, the American Family, and also the American Families Plan by the administration. Another one tucked inside the infrastructure plan, include $2 billion in project-based rental assistance. I didn't make that up. $2 billion. Okay. Project-based rental assistance. So we're not talking about project-based housing. We're talking about any project, and $2 billion is an incredible amount of money. Think about this: the entirety of what HUD does in your housing authority only equates to about 30 million. When you introduce $2 billion, things start happening. Now you would think, well, that's a significant number. This is an entitlement program. Let me troll your channel, and I most certainly expect that from some of you guys, but. If the program had sufficiently been working as it should over the last 20 years, incrementally, we wouldn't be in this position. But see, anytime America goes through struggles, what we do like to do is we increase the military funding by trillions, 100 trillion, 50 trillion, make it a zillion. We can pop a bomb that's worth more than we actually spend on our old. That's ridiculous, right? We spend more money overseas fighting wars that mean nothing. Than we actually do housing the homeless, the seniors, and others. That's incredible, but it is what it is. Anyways, and now I want to say also that for our veterans who fought those wars, your service is not meaningless to me. So I appreciate your service. So I want you to know that, I'm never making the reference that maybe the war is a problem, but you giving your service is not. It is always greatly appreciated. Now, moving on. So beyond that, the explosion, the president's fiscal 2022 budget request, however, will include the 200,000 new vouchers. This is pretty much a historic investment in the program that has seen little growth since the 90s. And so they're very much right. It's been, 20 years, 30 years. The request still falls 8 million short. So, it's a small amount of money, pocket change. But let me tell you something, 200,000 vouchers would just about fix the problem. As it stands now. We've spent more money on so many different things. We've spent more money fixing potholes, in this country than we have trying to fix housing crisis. So I told you a lot. I would suggest that maybe the highway was an entitlement program as well, because it needs more than its own pieces of citizens. So with that being said, we're going to go on to what the entitlement actually is. Sorry, I'm struggling a little bit here. House Financial Service Committee and co-sponsor of the Waters Bill, if you guys want to look that up, is what we're really talking about, said that spending on affordable units needs to be accompanied by rental assistance. So we can't just spend money to create new vouchers. We must also create the process in which the vouchers are worth enough. If you're kicking out vouchers worth $20 and it ain't going to rent anything, then what the hell's the point? You see it? So we need to increase the value to match the market that's out here. One of the biggest complaints that most people that I'm dealing with right now is they're simply getting vouchers that are worthless. They're nowhere that can even use it because their landlord's rents are too high. So then we're going to move on to the reality of the situation after I have a sip of my Bang energy drink. And a sip of tea because my throat is dry. So even more important than the dollar amount is how those dollars are spent. So one of the things we're looking at is expanding housing supply without expanding the housing subsidy. Subsidy means subsidizing or paying. So we cover the issue of let's make the value of the voucher worth more to be able to meet the rents. Then we talk about increasing the number of vouchers. Now we talk about increasing the actual availability. So now we have prejudice and prejudicial behavior in landlords not wanting to accept Section 8 housing choice vouchers and other programs, which is starting to ease a little bit because of the pandemic. Landlords are truly desperate at this point. So let's go to what the result is. The draft bill would make the housing voucher program an entitlement. And I want to tell you something, guys. I went to look up entitlement because I know this is going to come up. So why don't we just discuss that? Because I get a lot of shitty people that want to talk about entitlements. And of course, I'm not going to be able to find that. Damn it. Well, I guess we're not going to talk about entitlements, but let me put it this way. Entitlements are, Social Security is an entitlement, okay? Medicare, Medicaid, that's an entitlement. Anything that you pay tax dollars, you work, you earn money, and you pay taxes on that money you earn, then it does what? It entitles you to something. Now, I can understand political divisions over entitlements, especially entitlements that require nothing in return. For instance, food stamps do not require anything in return. It is simply an entitlement that does not require any tax dollars to be involved in it. So I could see how some might have a political problem with that. However, I think that the vast majority of the people that actually use that program are actually seniors, okay? And contrary to belief, the African American population is not responsible for the highest use of entitlements, okay? That's the garbage you learn on TV, you know? The reality is Caucasian people represent the greatest portion of people using entitlements. So I want to correct the record there, especially for those of you who are fixated on race. And you all know my position on racists and bigots. So I'll put your ass out my channel because I don't have time for stupidity. All right. With that being said, we're going to talk about another thing that Senator Chris Hollins had mentioned, and that's going to be Ending Homeless Act, H.R. 1856. And now that was a proposal jumped out in 2019, and I think it's a good one. Look, people sometimes are homeless. The vast majority of homeless people, around 60, maybe 70% of them are mentally ill. These are people that are never going to be functional. Let's just get to that reality. Just like the number of consults I do, I try to do a tremendous amount. And I would estimate easily 70, pushing almost 80% of the people I deal with have mental illness that would seriously affect their ability to ever work. Okay. They don't act and speak and do things in a normal manner. And it's a struggle for me, obviously, to consult with people that do that. Now, a lot of my clients are mentally ill, but they understand and they're still able to operate. But I've got to tell you, that's why we need that. Just because you have a mental illness doesn't mean you deserve to live in a ditch or under a bridge, okay? So we have to take care of all segments of society. We can't just simply say that I am a good human, that I am a subsection of humans that makes more money, thus I get to be in charge of whether or not the other segment of society, which may not have the greatest jobs, gets to go live under the bridge. That's ridiculous, okay? We're all humans. These are not aliens. These are not people that have invaded our country. These are Americans that were born here. Not everybody's born with a high IQ. Not everybody's born without mental illness. And so we have to compensate. That is the proper thing to do if you have any moral center. When I hear people talk about, well, we shouldn't do shit for any of these people. Don't give them food stamps. Don't do anything. Don't help the disabled. Screw the old and all that stuff. Well, your moral center, you'll be paying that debt when you take your last breath because you're going to deeply regret being that kind of person. And I got to tell you, anybody that's entered my life that acts in that manner or in that respect, I will put you out of my life. Who can stand anybody like that? So, again, that's my personal opinion. But H.R. 1856, Ending Homeless Act. I think anybody who's willing to try or participate in any manner possible in any program should. And so these programs being entitlements, Section 8 and housing vouchers are not genuine entitlements simply because if you are an American and you do work, you paid into that system. You paid in under the belief that you are American and that you would be able to utilize the system under the duress. And what is this pandemic doing? It's putting plenty under duress. So never be ashamed to ask the United States government for a little bit of your money back, okay? That's absurd to be ashamed of something like that. So it does look bad to your neighbors. Oh, well, just means you're opinionated assholes. That's all it means. Maybe one day the script will get flipped and they'll be the one in flip-flops on the sidewalk burning up trying to get a voucher. And I've seen that change a lot of opinions lately because a lot of people that were formerly middle class are now zero class. You know what I mean? So you were middle class, and now you're experiencing the same people you talk shit about. And guess what? It's your ass on the sidewalk looking for the voucher. So I haven't did anything against middle class America. I'm just saying you're getting a taste of the same venom you were spewing out your mouth against a lot of these people. So I don't want to suggest that everybody in the middle class is evil or the high class. I'm just saying there is a segment of people, man, that really are crazy. So with that being said, we're going to jump over to questions, and I'm going to, hopefully nobody's trolling me, but you know what? If you are trolling me, that's like hot sauce. It makes my life spicy, and I'm good with that. So let's take a look and see. And I'm going to scroll back and look at the beginning comments. So Emily Blue, good evening, folks. Hi, Emily Blue. DC Big Oslo. Hey, Jay. Hey, DC, what's up? Cynthia Fields, hope you're feeling better. I'm doing pretty good right now. The energy levels are starting to raise up a little bit, but the days are kind of flaky with having this infection. It looks like Juanita or Janita says, wishes to a quick recovery. Thank you very much. Robert Jones, 15 minutes. I don't know what you're suggesting there, but if you're suggesting people push forward to 15 minutes ahead in the video, that's good advice, you know? Mary Gonzalez, she's speaking Spanish, and so I need to one day get a Spanish interpreter to help us with our Spanish community. I believe that community is underserved greatly when it comes to YouTube, and I'm looking into that, solving that, having somebody that speaks Spanish along with me to assist that community because it's very much underserved. Right on. Hi, can you post housing for Milwaukee, Wisconsin? Yes, I can. But not at this very moment. So what I'm going to do is I'll include a link in the comment section of the video once the live feed is completed. Ivan Miles, hey, what's going on? Hey, Ivan, it's been a minute. Glad to see you back in the channel. For those of you that are following me, I'm reading comments and I'm kind of going back because I was talking for quite a while. So I'm reading older comments in the live chat window. Look, guys, if you're on your phone or your computer, you can chat with me live, and I'm eventually going to catch up here in a minute. Florence Patterson, what if you have HCV? Well, I don't know what in reference you mean by that, Miss Florence, but you'll have to readdress that again in a minute. DC says, makes sense to me. Linda Patterson, only give an in-house voucher because upcoming construction to the building after that, you have to live here. Okay, so well, that sounds interesting. Jazzy, hello. Jazzy, I want to tell you guys, Jazzy's been on my channel for a long time. We were just a meager 2,000 people at that time. Good to see you, Jazzy. I'm late. What's going on? Oh, you're not late for anything. We talked to a lot of we've been talking about the universal housing voucher and some statistical facts. Look, guys, that universal housing voucher, whether they change the name or not, that's coming out 2022. It doesn't matter if you're Republican, Democrat, that's coming out. Just get ready for it. And I'm going to be watching closely because everybody in this channel and everybody's out here trying to get housing. You are the people that matter to me. I don't give a damn about what the rich are doing. I don't care about the upper middle class. I don't care about rich white folks. I don't care about wealthy Asians. I just care about the people here that need housing, the old, the disabled, and so on. So if you're part of that community that's rich, this is not the channel for you, okay? So moving on, Joy Fur. My father is a veteran who has a project-based voucher, gotcha, and needs to be moved closer to us in BC, or I think he might have meant DC. He's dealing with extreme depression and health issues. They told him he is not a priority. Well, you know what I tell you, Mr. or Mrs. Fur, we can certainly make him a priority. First of all, he served our nation, and I think that's absolutely absurd that any housing authority would assert that you could serve our country and die for it, but yet you mean nothing, jack shit to us, and we're sorry we can't give you a voucher. That can be corrected, okay? So, Ms. Fur, I would reference you to talk to me about that. We can certainly get him almost every preference available with a little bit of work. DC says, green tea and honey works great, Jay. You're certainly right, man. And I love honey, and so do my kitty cats. Matter of fact, as most of you know, I rescue cats. I've got a bunch of them. I see one's here that can visit with us. Any other time, these cats would be jumping in and out my hair and popping like popcorn everywhere, and I don't know what. They're not around right now. And y'all seen that 6 6'5" tower I had to do. Now I got to tell you guys that cat tower I had, that was about a pound of bolts and nuts, hot off the boat from China. But it's a really good cat tower, and I had to kind of pepper the whole tower with treats to get them used to it, but now they're using it pretty regularly, and there's a lot of hissing and fighting. For those of you that are cat lovers or pet lovers for any matter, I don't just like taking care of you human guys. I like to take care of rescuing animals, okay? Got a big heart when it comes to that. So, believing in justice. Water, Mr. Roulette, I hope you're feeling better now. Yes, believing in justice. I'm feeling a little bit better today. I'm feeling pretty strong this afternoon, but I got to tell you, it can go either way in the middle of the day. I was doing great yesterday morning, and by lunchtime, it was pretty bad. This infection, man, it keeps draining, and it causes all kinds of problems. It can drop my blood pressure in minutes. I feel like I'm in the North Pole, and in the next minute, it feels like it could roast you alive. So it's part of the problem. I could end up having to go in to have a surgery. This could become septic. I'm not hanging out in the hospital, okay, guys? Look, people got COVID, and I'm not going to spin that lottery wheel to figure out if my DNA says I'm going to die from it. So I'm only going to do what's absolutely necessary with this infection at the hospital, because I'm not hanging out there to die, okay? And I've not had a single shot. Not yet, anyways. And so, anyways, Johnny Platt, yes. All right, Mr. Platt, good seeing you again. Wendy Ewing, Jay, can you look at my email after your live show? I'm desperate. Yes, Wendy, I can. Thing to keep in mind, guys, is I get around 2,000 emails a day, and I have to prioritize that, okay? Because otherwise I would spend all my time doing nothing but emails. So I would have an internet connection, and I would live under the bridge, no shower, no food, nothing, just answer emails until I finally pass away 45 days later from no water, no food, no medical care, nothing, just answer emails. In fact, that's one thing I'm going to talk to you guys about tonight. I'm going to remove the ability for people to send me emails from my. I'm going to have the email there, but the contact form is being abused so badly by people that have no consideration for me. I'm going to remove it. It's become too much, and a lot of the bullshit people are sending me is exactly that bullshit. They're not looking for any serious answers. They're just fishing around. Look, you don't win to shop me. I'm not here to play games. I'm here to get people housed. If you want to play a game and your goal is just to work the system, work it to fuck somewhere else. It's not going to happen with me. So yes, I'm just being upfront with you guys. I want to help those that want to help themselves. But if you're going to try to play me into something, no, I'm not interested. So beyond that, and by the way, Wendy, that lecture was not for you. I'm just saying in general, you reminded me of something I wanted to say. Okay, so beyond that, believing in justice. So I'm every time I try to get to the bottom of the chat window, you guys keep increasing the questions. So eventually we might catch up. Let's see. Believe in Justice says it should be a program to help others step by step to be successful, other than the elderly, the illness and disabled. True. And actually, Believe in Justice, what I want to say about that is universal housing vouchers would be a system and would allow vouchers for anybody that would qualify. Okay. Now, I do believe that the elderly, mentally ill, and disabled need to be prioritized because they simply don't have the means and income that a normal working person does. However, I also believe that anybody that's struggling, that's willing to be afforded the opportunity to work and work against that voucher and participate with that, I think that's fine. You know, that's the whole thing. The program can't just be about something. It's got to be inclusive, you know. So DC Big, their skin is in the game now. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that, DC. I don't know if that's a reference to whether or not. Oh, I think I know what you mean. Okay, so Kelly Lister, please post housing for Arizona because they are saying there are no programs and I'm in need of housing. Arizona's become an exceptionally tough city. And not only that, you guys are boiling to death out there. The heat is extreme. And what I'm finding, if you're out in Las Vegas, good God. So I'm having a lot of problems with that out there. First of all, they're closing up. They don't have the funding despite all the federal funding. So I don't know what they blew it on. Maybe they bought new leather couches, a new air conditioning AC unit. Maybe all the ladies at the housing authority now have a refreshment center, but they sure should have given out vouchers. I would love to just see where that money is being blown. Maybe they're sitting and running the housing authority in Arizona from the casino. So for every pull for $50, they get a little loose change, and in return, that's a joke. They're not gambling, but anyways, I'm just giving them a little shit. Robert Jones, roach problem in the complex. You know, roaches love everybody, even the rich, man. There's nothing like a good case of roaches. You know, back in the 80s when I was a kid, they used to make this specific type of roach spray. It was deadly. You sprayed it, your cats, your dogs died. Anything breathing except for humans would die. If I could remember the name of it, they ended up having to ban that stuff because it was too good. I'm sorry to hear you got roaches popping out your hair. Nobody likes that. To be frank with you, and make a very good video about Section 8 project-based housing. I've got roaches and rats popping out my hair. That's a good case for it's a good case for HUD to sue, you know. Why not, Lendrew? How's my sexy 20-year-old? That's a private joke between Miss Juanette and I. She is an awesome woman. We talk a lot, and so yeah. How you doing, Juanette? Glad to see you. By the way, guys, about roughly half the people in the chat are people that have actually been long-term members. Just so you know, I don't need to pay anybody to come to my channel. Either you love what I do or you hate it, and so there's no in between with me. Raina, drink tea. Yeah, you're right. Guys, if y'all want to make a recommendation on tea, I'd love to hear it, especially if you know what, if you are an Indian, if you're from India, or China, and you want to make a recommendation on teas from those two nations, I'd be glad to hear. American tea doesn't tend to be the most flavorful. And also, if you are from Africa, if you're African, please let me know what your opinion on teas. I've had some African coffees that would blow your mind compared to the toilet water that we brew out here in the U.S. So, and I know a lot of you love Starbucks, and I got to tell you, man, that tastes like pretty harsh. I'll taste, like I said, some African coffees are really good. So I'll take y'all's recommendation on that. All right, Florence Pearson, Section 8. Yes, you've identified the topic of the hour, Section 8, Housing Choice Vouchers. Yes. Robert Jones, yearly inspection tomorrow. Robert, please make sure that you clear all items and electrical cords from around all items. So in other words, make sure that you have one item per plug plugged in. Everything's cleared off the stove from under the microwave. Inspections can be brutal, and if you get a real asshole, they'll try to fail you, okay? Anytime they give you an opportunity to do a reinspection, accept it without argument. Otherwise, they will mark you for termination. I don't know if that's what you're asking me, but I'm just going to give you some advice there. Tammy Lee, how hard is it to get switched from subsidized to Section 8? Well, let me ask you a question, Tammy. When you say subsidized, are you in tenant-based housing? Are you in subsidized housing, or is it project-based? Now, either way, it's a little bit hard. About 45 days. We have to compel the housing authority to consider your case. And when they consider, what they're considering is whether or not to convert your tenant-based funding over to a housing choice voucher. It can be done. We just need to first talk to a housing specialist. We have to give them a compelling reason, and then it may or may not happen. So yes, that's how that would work. And I would need to know more about your case to be specific. Joy Fur, yes, I have an appointment with you this week. Excellent, Mr. or Mrs. Fur. I don't know by the name, and I apologize whether you're male or female, so I'm just walking that thin line. URSIJ, hi, I need help with finding housing. I've been on the list for 7 years. Most recently, I applied for the surrounding cities in California. Goodness, all right. So in that case, I would tell you California is the toughest housing market out there, and the closer you are to the center of LA, the worse it gets. There's a waiting list of 200,000 right now, so it's an impossibility for the LA and Orange County area. But there are some possibilities if you're willing to look at other counties and surrounding areas. There may be some ability to get housing there. 7 years is a long time to be on a list. It tells me that you likely gave probably some of the worst answers you could potentially give, and you were not considered for any preferences, okay? So that tells me you need to do what we call, you're gonna have to update your application with better answers. Look, guys, we all know this. Housing choice vouchers and housing authorities depend and strictly base you on your preference. In other words, how many problems in your life there are. A lot of you guys are just too damn honest. If you're in, first of all, it's a game. A lot of this is game, and it is very much rigged in a lot of ways. It's rigged because it only works for some, and most of the other people don't. Look, if you don't know how to play the game, then you're just a participant. If you're going to play the game of getting vouchers, then you better be able to play it better than people that created it. That's something I've become exceptional with. So why do I call it a game? Well, let me ask you a question. When somebody says, hey, I'm going to put you in the lottery, then what the hell is that? Is a lottery not a game? Okay, aren't you entered into just like the prize patrol? You're being put in the lottery. That's a damn game, in it? So it is a game, and you either compete in this game to win, and that is what you're doing, winning a voucher through a lottery. It sounds a lot like a game to me. Okay, game of odds. Well, look, there's ways to persuade those odds, whether you're in a lottery or whether you're on a waiting list. If you know absolutely what they're looking for and what can move you 10 or 20% up or down a list, if you don't know what those things are, and a lot of you believe that it's just as simple as a few changes of an application. It's not that simple. If you don't really know what it is, then get a consultant that does. Renee Small Jackson, do you have any information on Louisiana? Well, Renee, I'm a native of Louisiana and family and friends from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So I have an incredible amount of information about Louisiana. If you like, hit me up in the comments section of the video. And when this live video ends, I will try to provide some incremental information. I would need to know more specifically what you need. So, by the way, guys, you guys often ask me whether I know something about a specific city or a state. I have covered all 50 states, including Puerto Rico and Hawaii. That's 13,000 manuals, okay? I'm not missing anything. In fact, I have probably the largest library and information for this than anybody in the U.S. So that should be abundantly clear from seeing my website. I don't make wild claims. My success rate is around 93%. And so there's no guessing with me. I'm not providing tips and tricks. We're talking about actionable things that can be done. And these are not tips and tricks. I mean, these are reading operations manuals. This is reading data manuals, algorithm manuals, HIMS. Okay, so these things are based on a solid principle, Title 24, federal regulation. I'm no joke. If you want a joke, go to another channel. They'll give you tips and tricks. That's a joke. I don't play with this. Anyways, believe in justice. Yes. It says yes, fighting 1-2. Rest, prayers, and so much. Thank you so much. A lot of you weighed in, and I tell you what, it gave me a lot of faith in the people that have joined my channel, because I really didn't think y'all had a personal interest in whether or not I was well or not. To be frank with you, for years, I was probably under the misunderstanding that most of you just wanted something from me and didn't care, but I've been proven wrong, and it shows just how much that even I need to learn about the people that I often deal with. So I appreciate all the prayers and the people that cared. It means a lot. You see how much I do, in fact, care about most of y'all. So Yuri says, URSIJ, and I'm going to just call you Jay from now on. On most of the housing authority websites, they say you have to work or already live in that city in order to get a Section 8 voucher. There's many clever ways, Jay, to get around that, okay? So they said that, they post a lot of bullshit on their websites, okay? It's like a pamphlet or a flyer, okay? Federal law is not a pamphlet. It's not a flyer. It's not a suggestion. What you see on housing authority websites is cleverly designed to send a message. Does it mean it's absolutely what federal regulation says? No. There's lots of ways around what it says. Do you have to live in a county? No, you do not. However, if you want preferential points, you need to live in that county. And that's as simple as going to open a checking account in the next county over and then changing your driver's license. A week later, congratulations, you're now a resident of that county. So there's lots of ways to play this game. Gladys Pestino. I don't know if I said that. Gladys, we'll see Gladys Pestino. I think that's right. Where can I go to get proof of housing situation or proof of risk of being homeless? Now, under federal law, so for that, federal law says you would need to have one of the common themes there. Okay, the easiest way to do this would be to walk into any homeless shelter after lunch has been served. Never go to Mars. I mean, I'm not joking. Walk into a big mega homeless shelter. Go to the front desk. Hey, I'm homeless. I need a homeless letter. Okay. It's just simply a piece of paper signed by somebody that works at the front desk. It really is that simple. You can, in fact, print this offline. It's called homeless letter. Type it into Google. You can take it down to any local organization, church, and have them sign it. You can actually have a friend sign it. Under federal law, it says in there's an excerpt in it that says that as long as a community As long as a person from the community has witnessed your homelessness, they can write a letter, and that's sufficient. Okay. Never believe, a lot of you guys are letting these places tell you, housing authority, oh, well, you've got to go live in a homeless shelter. No, you don't. Okay. That is a suggestion. That is not what federal law prescribes. You do not have to live in a homeless shelter in order to receive the full benefit of the United States government. That is some cockamamie shit that housing authorities will have you believe. Okay. Moving on. Sorry. See, I always try so hard to be good and Christian at the beginning of the video, and then it goes all downhill the hotter I get. And I try so hard not to curse. And no, I'm not. I'm always joking about the Christian part. But anyways, so Lady Leo, how are you doing? Good to see you again. I'm 58 on disability. No one really helping me. We're not getting any special preference. Not where I live. Lady Leo, I could swear you're a client of mine, and so I'm wondering whether or not you're a client of mine, because I'm not so sure about that. So, about a Miller, hello, I need help. I applied. I'm disabled, homeless. I went through the application process and I sent all the documents, but now I'm getting the runarounds. Well, Miss Miller, I have no idea what you said on that application. It was a pre-application, but unless you probably know what I know, you probably a lot of answers you gave probably sent you reeling to the bottom of the list. I don't know your situation or your case, Miss Miller. The thing about that is, and if you are in this, look, if you don't know what you're doing with that, or you're trying to change your answer, that would probably be the best thing, and come up with a different set of answers that are better. It's all based on preferences. Okay. So you might benefit from reaching out to a consultant, whether it be me or anybody else that can help you in that area. We're not talking about somebody to help you fill in your name, your address, and your phone number. Either a consultant like myself is either going to know the right answers to get your preferential movement on that list 30-40%, or they don't. It's just a reality of the fact. Matter of fact, I had a consult today with an actual social worker / counselor that worked with the homeless formerly, and they would testify and preach live they would assert very much so that I know my shit. I know it well enough. They're consulting with me. They're consulting, asking me to consult them, and they're the people doing the work. Happens a lot, more than you think. I get lots of social workers and counselors that come to me about this, and so I can tell you. Michelle Marie, I appreciate your support. I see you are a Amethyst VIP. Look, guys, for you that don't know, that when you become a member of my channel, when you actually pick up your couch, shake the loose change out, drop it, deposit it in this YouTube channel, I spend that money purchasing things, paying all bed bills, purchasing cat collars, fixing cats that have an eyeball that's about to fall out, legs that are broken, cats that have been shot, cats that have been thrown out, windows of cars that drive by, all kinds of crazy shit. I don't just rescue animals. I give these animals a second opportunity. A lot of people wouldn't spend $5 to save an animal. Fuck it, just put them down. I don't do that. They have a much right to live, especially when we inflicted the pain and injury on these animals. I'm not going to shoot them and put them down, okay? So I salvage these animals and bring them back to life and show them that not all humans are actually that wicked. Anyways, moving on. So yeah, anyways, if you shake the loose change out of your purse, out your wallet, or out of your couch, and you spend $2 or $3 or whatever, you become a member of the channel here, and then I spend that rescuing cats. I don't do dogs because there are no dogs that are in my area that need rescuing, so that I know of. All right, moving on. Joanna, we'll just say Joanna again, and I know I'm saying that wrong. I was on rapid rehousing program because I didn't find a place that accommodated my son's needs in time, and the time permitted. They dropped me with no call. Well, you should be appealing that, depending on how long ago that was. Housing authorities are never going to give you alternatives. That would be a lot like the police beating you up with a baton, and then your only recourse would be to drive to the police station, then report the officer. And it just so happens the guy taking the reports at the front desk is the guy that just beat your ass. You see the point? If you're looking to call the housing authority, excuse me, my name is Sally. I have a Housing Choice Voucher, and today I would like to get you fired. Could you please provide me with all the answers about who you are, how to fire yourself, and could you give me a free manual explaining that? You guys are running to the same people that don't give a shit about you, looking for this information. Do you really think they're going to tell you the truth? No, of course not. That's the thing. You got to stop going to these people. This is why my job exists. Why would you go to the prosecutor when you know you committed a crime? Excuse me, I committed a crime. Could you represent me? No, but we could throw you in prison, right? All right, so that's my point. So I'm going to move on. My first chance. Interesting name choice. Chew 1/2 clove to one garlic, 1 clove of garlic for infections. Now, I suspect you're an older person because that is a recipe I've heard from my grandmother. Now, if you're 20 something, I'm sorry I offended you, but that's actually a pretty decent recipe. Ms. Pasco, I appreciate that. I have been looking for someone like you for some time. The big thing about it is what I do for you guys with the consulting is there really isn't anybody else like me out there. There are a few companies that do consulting, but their fees are so astronomical. I don't know exactly who they help. I think that they're probably working the government for as much cash as possible to create bullshit flyers that never actually reach anybody that needs help. Have you seen that game before? How we all donate to the homeless shelter and then they sell the nice shit and they give out the nice rags. Isn't that how the game works? The people that need it the most never even get it. All the people that work at the homeless shelter, they take all the nice clothes and go sell it. And then they give you a roll of socks and wish you well, right? So that's how the game works. Look, guys, if you're not represented by somebody that understands the game, and what I mean by the game, that understands federal regulation, understands Title 24 policies, procedure, data manuals, and everything else, understands how you're being ranked on the lottery, in the list, and all the preferences, special use vouchers, 138 different types of special use vouchers, TBAs, TBAs, and I can go on and on and on with acronyms, but that's who you want in your corner. You don't want to call Sally at the housing authority. Don't give a shit about you, okay? And then you're going to sit there and think to yourself, "Oh, Christian, oh well, she's just going to help." No, she's not. She don't care. Trust me on that deal. I've talked to enough housing authority employees and enough cities around this nation to tell you most of them hate their job, and you calling them just making it worse. Okay, trust me. Anyways, moving on. Believing in justice. Got a cat and a blue heart. I appreciate you. JRSI, thank you. You're most welcome. Gail Resources, good to see you back. Gail's been around. She's a long-term member. I know her as good as I know Jazzy and believing in justice. And Gail says they should be fined for bad information. Man, oh man, I tell you what, if I was working in the White House, it would be raining brimstone, fire from hell. The things that go on in these housing authorities are just so far from unethical. Anyways, Miss Karen P. Porter. Dear sir, I have you on my own place in a high-rise apartment, Highland Tower apartment out in Southfield, Michigan in Oakland County. I'm disabled. My age is 62. I'm receiving SSI monthly. Can you help me out? Miss Karen Porter, yes, I can. However, we would need to go over your case details, see what's going on with you, and how we can improve it. Would it be equitable to seek housing? You are living in a high rise. I don't know if it's a good one or a bad one or what's going on. So I would need a lot more details about you, Ms. Porter. But yes, I'd be absolutely thrilled to help you out. Now, see, I'm going to have to see about this name if I'm getting this right. Ms. Shantia Darren, possibly. It sounds almost French. Hello, sir. Please help me. I did all of these things. Please help. I don't know what things you're referring to. And so I don't, you're going to have to say a little more than that for me to understand. Shantine Dare says hello again. And so we have Miss Alicia Davis. How long does it take to actually get a voucher after you turn your paperwork for eligibility? Now, I'm going to tell you my experience over 20 years. And so what I'm seeing, and I'm going to base it, let's base it on the last 4 years, because what happened 20 years ago is not relevant. What I'm seeing is about an average of 20 to 45 days, I think. Now, Ms. Davis, I don't know if you're in New York City or LA. Now, that could greatly impact it. So I wish I knew which city and state you lived in. Tammy Lee, tell it like it is. Oh, God, all y'all know that. Look, you know what? I know that some of you older folks here, I got 70, 80, 90-year-olds that watch me. Look, don't take it personal when I use profanity. It's okay. I tend to be an intense person, and that's how I express myself. It's not to be malicious or anything. If you can set that aside, I think you'll find my channel to be a pretty powerful tool. Anyways, Erica, any housing in California? That's a good question. You know what here's my answer to California. Either we burn the whole damn state down and start fresh, or we get on the ball and start doing something. California's got a problem. That problem we have in California with the housing market is on fire. Rents are raising so high that nobody can get it. And as I mentioned many times, I think the state of Florida is about to go through the same thing in about 5 years. Okay. So yes, there is some housing in California, but it is a tricky game, and it's often we have to apply in 10, 15 different counties to get it. It really just depends. Also, the farther we can get away from LA, the better. So yes. Penny Russell. I live in Alabama, and the Section 8 still hasn't got open. And I only have to about the 10th of August, and I'm on disability. Penny, there's a program specifically designed for people that are going to be imminently homeless, which means it's fixing to happen to you. Look, nobody can jump into Section 8 housing or deal with the housing authority a month or two away and expect a voucher, even with all the crazy things I can do, all the things I can manipulate with housing authorities. The earliest I've ever been able to do it was 6 days, and that's a mythical unicorn. 8 months to 3 years would be more realistic for a voucher. Subsidized, couple of weeks, COC 35 days, and it really does depend specifically where you are. And sorry, let me have another sip of my tea, drying out here. It depends on specifically where you are in the housing market and how many more preferences we can get. And trust me when I tell you, being old and being disabled is not enough. We're going to have to stack a lot more shit in there than that. Look, you know how many people in America that are old and disabled? You're competing in a wide, broad list then. We're going to have to get more particular things. Look, guys, I'm not telling y'all to be unethical, but you know what? If you're not prepared to stand on, I'm not telling you to cross the line. I'm not telling you to break federal law. But you're going to have to be damn well prepared to stand on the fence, on that line. Okay, we're going to have to go straight to all the way to the line. I'm not going to tell you to cross it. But let me tell you something. In a system that's rigged and it's unfair, the only way to compete that way, and you know what you've got to do. So I don't need to tell you anymore. You just have to tell Jesus later that please forgive me. As simple as that. God don't want you on the sidewalk, and I don't either. Okay. So if you got to do what you got to do, that's all I can tell you. Comfort and peace. I'm in Alabama. Hey, Comfort and Peace, we should talk. I've got a landlord right now putting up 25 units, and they're brand new. I don't know what part of Alabama you're in. As many of you know, I've got over 200 landlords. So I always mention when you landlords contact me, I manage the properties as a GM. I manage the applications only. I'm not there physically. I just consult with the owners to ensure they don't get yourself in trouble. I review the applicants. In other words, I'm pretty much God. I determine whether or not you get in these properties, a lot of them, including in California. I preside over many, many properties in California. When you put your application in, it's not a matter of the lady working the front desk, the leasing agent. I am the ultimate authority of whether or not many of these properties you get in. Now, I'm only 200 units, 200 landlords. I don't cover all of America, so don't contact me thinking I have some special powers over your property. Just the landlords I deal with. But yes, in Alabama, we're putting up a new property. I'm going to exclusively announce that property here because the owners asked me to do so. So when they're ready, I'll let you'll know if you live in Alabama. Johnny Platt, hey Jay, does the COC program at some point in time place you on a Section 8 waiting list so there's no actual correlation between continuum of care, better known as COC or Housing First. There is some cases where they have discretionary funding to give you EHVs or emergency housing voucher. They can make a phone call if they're super, super like you and can refer you over to the housing authority. In some cases, continuum of care is actually part of the housing authority. But I don't remember specifically for your city. If I'm correct, Mr. Platt, aren't you in New York? I don't remember. Gale Resources. It's so bad here in California. I know. I really do see that for you. California has become a place where you're either rich or poor, and it's either bad or it gets worse. California's been a great place for a long time. We all had to know that eventually too many people going there was going to be a problem, and now the debt's going to be paid. You play with the devil, you're gonna have to pay the piper, and so California is unfortunately is seeing its better days, unfortunately, and I hope it gets better. Alicia Davis, Philadelphia, PA. I turned my paperwork in May 25th, 2021. Well, Alicia, Ms. Davis, I would suggest that potentially changing some answers to reflect to reflect more concerning questions about yourself, which could have a huge amount of effect on whether or not they would consider you high or low priority. I really can't get into that part of that in this video. That would be exceptionally long conversation. Maria, I've been homeless for 12 years. How long do you think I'll have to wait? I'm in Mesa, Temple, Arizona. Well, Maria, you should not be homeless for 12 years, for starters, because we could have easily got you through a program within 35 days. And I don't mean a religious program. I don't mean Shelter Plus. I don't mean a bullshit shelter. I mean actually getting you released through continuum of care. So I really do feel that 11 years and 11 months of your life were utterly wasted because there's so much you could have already done to fix that. And I understand it's not your fault. Shelters earn money off by keeping you homeless, and nobody wants to be in the damn places. That's why likely you weren't apprised of your rights. That can be fixed. Nancy Drew says, I finally got housing in California. Well, that's a flipping miracle. If I were you, I would go buy you the cheapest champagne you can find, get so drunk you pass out on the carpet responsibly, and be glad, because that's a rare unicorn. So I'm not really suggesting you get tore up, but I got to tell you, that's a hell of a thing. If you're going to celebrate, you're celebrating something pretty rare. You got a voucher in California. Derek Rogers, I'm in a halfway house. Oh, man. God, I feel bad for you, brother. I received emails from it saying that I was chosen to receive a voucher, Section 8 voucher in Dallas. Well, you're in D-Town, so you're not too far from me in Houston, but I haven't heard from them. Well, I got to tell you, it's a 35-day administrative process to determine funding for that, and then you compound that by the pandemic. So what you might be seeing is an extension of that of about 60 days. Now, if this has been dragging on for months, there's something wrong with your case, and then you would need to give some new answers on that. And I'm hoping you've applied for RRH or PSH. 1 minute break here, guys. My voice is starting to weaken. Believing in Justice is awesome, Nancy. Sammy Joe, hi, Jay. Hope you're doing well. I'm hanging in there tonight. I feel pretty decent. I may not feel that way in the morning, I got to tell you. Gale Resources, Nancy Drew, what area are you in? Cindy Wilson, what of Georgia? I think Georgia's doing pretty fair, unless you're in DeKalb County, where things are kind of intense right now for housing. Penny Russell, I'm in Baldwin County. Got to mention states, guys. Look, there's 9,000, there's 5,400 counties or more in the U.S. I don't know what Baldwin is. Okay, now if you said it like Atlanta or New Orleans, I might know. I don't know where Baldwin is. Or I might have asked you what county, but I forgot what state. So, Sammy Joe, my biggest issue when I first applied for SDI was I was on a list for every little thing. Well, hell, and you know what, Sammy, Joe, that's what you got to do. We got to get you. You got to plug into everything. Look, guys, if you're not disabled by the time we finish a consult, you're going to be disabled. You're going to be so many different things you've never been. And you know what? The biggest thing is you're going to be moving higher in that list. Okay, I don't play any games. If the law says if you meet A, B, and C, you get a voucher faster, we sure as fuck are going to pursue it that way. Okay, so last week you had an ingrown toenail. This week you're in a wheelchair. Whatever it takes, people. What other choice do you have? If the law says there's loopholes, then you know what? I suggest you get out your rod and reel and go fishing, because it's time to start fishing in that particular loophole. You think that, you guys, it's not a game. It's just, I mean, it is a game. But the thing is, you got to be prepared to do whatever you got to do. What other choice do you have? What about Atlanta, Georgia? Atlanta, Georgia is doing all right now. We're still having some success there. I don't see it as a big problem. Sam, do you any tips for applying in Arizona? I have, Joe, I got to take a look at Arizona again, because I'm getting a lot of reports that system's almost about shut down right now. Nancy Drew, talking about Gale Resources, Sonoma County. That's a good county. Miss Pazio, congratulations, Nancy. Miss Smith Sanders, any tips for using housing voucher to purchase a home? No. Well, let's just say this. I'm not licensed as a broker or real estate agent, so I really can't give advice there. Now, I know you're asking for tips. I would say there is a hotline. I wish I could give it to you. There are HUD specialists for free you can talk to. It's so much involvement in that, I could actually open a second YouTube channel. So I can only give you the basics there. I don't feel that I could be adequate in that area. Maria Mole, I don't want to say the rest. What's the deal with help for the homeless in Arizona? Man, I'm getting a lot of you guys in Arizona. So I'm going to have to look into Arizona tonight because I'm getting too many people telling me there's too many problems over there. And I'm about to make a video about Arizona because I feel that system might have collapsed already. And that includes the housing authority. It isn't no surprise. Ashley May, congratulations. Nancy, Linda McGee, how can my niece get housing in Tupelo, Mississippi? She is a DB victim. Now I can work with Mississippi. Their system is so weak over there. I could pop holes all in that system. So Linda, look, that's like a 20-minute conversation. So I'm not telling you to hire me as a consultant, but I would strongly do it, okay? Because Mississippi is not that hard to deal with. So she could probably get it. Also, what you want to be looking at, Linda, is going to be VAWA in combination of COC, or I'm probably talking Spanish to you at this point, but yes. Linda McGee, so my first choice, responsible drunk. Yes, there you go. Hey, man, if you're going to drink, do it right. Just don't be stupid about it, I don't really drink anymore, but I remember those days, you get shit-faced, and next thing you know, you're peeing in the closet. I was never that bad, but we all know people that have done that. Was ready to celebrate, but broke my ankle. I'm sorry. Poor thing. So you got a voucher, and then you snapped your ankle. Jesus, that's the way to go down on a party. Reflections of the day. Man, it's been a minute since I've seen you back in the channel. Denver, Colorado. Don't come here. Colorado treats disabled like crap. Well, what? I hate to tune you up here. Reflections of the day. Every state and housing authority treats people like shit. So that's no surprise. But maybe Denver's doing a better job of it. Sometimes they're extra evil. And so it comes as no shock. I haven't had any reports around the nation of wanting to bring pizza and soda and have a celebration around it. Can anybody name a housing authority that was unpleasant, that you want to drop off flowers and kisses and hugs? No, but I can think of a lot of people who would like to take a gas can, matches, bullets, and other things, and to really celebrate that way with their housing authority. A lot of people cannot fucking stand the housing authority in any city. However, I do understand that Denver could be a bigger problem than usual. I'll have to look into that. B10 audacious. Okay. How could she get a voucher? Look, guys, when you ask me, like, how do you get a voucher? That's a lot like me saying, let's talk for about 3 hours straight. Then we're going to cover 475-page manual. When we get through with that, we'll go through Title 24. We're going to read another 11,900 pages. When we get through with that, I'm going to have you stay up all night for at least a week, and then we'll continue to cover more topics. Look, guys, asking me how to get a voucher, I understand you'll want to know. It's applying. But if you don't know what I know, then how can I possibly explain all of that in 3 steps? I'm not a crap channel, guys, so I want to help you get vouchers, but I can't do it quickly. It's a lot to explain. So I'm not trying to be rude or anything like that. I'm just saying that if you just broadly say, how do I get a voucher? Well, I'm going to tell you, you fill it out, obviously, but how do you really get a voucher? Well, I think your real question is, how do I fill out the voucher and actually get somewhere on the list that makes sense? How do I not wait 25 years to get it? How do I go down there and get this quickly? That would be a better question, because just how do you get a voucher? Well, you fill it out, an application, Miss Joanna, I like your style. I look forward. Yep. I've got an interesting style. Look, guys, for me to do my job, I've got to, and I've told you many times, I've got to be able to speak to Christians. I got to be able to speak with gangsters, prostitutes, drug dealers, everybody. So I have to be as original as possible. I have to be able to change gears, use profanities, and then keep it business-like. I'm so many fucking things at times when I'm on the phone doing consulting. It's crazy, because I have to be able to speak everybody's language. I cannot just serve one class of people that think in one way. You see my point? So that's why I struggle on these videos of being very upfront, I guess. Saber Joe, I'm now on it. I was 27 when I first did it, and I was trying to believe. SD, so don't feel bad, y'all. Okay. Mr. or Mrs. Parker, can she apply for subsidized housing until her voucher is approved? That would actually negate the process and cause one to fail the other. So no, I would not advise doing that. Reflections of the day, Baldwin, you got that right. Colorado's horrible. Okay, so that's a conversation between two people in here. Sharon Summers. I live in MA. I guess it's Massachusetts. I got a housing. They told me the rent, and then they even gave me furniture. Then they took it all away for something on a Corey in 1998. So it looks like something about 22 years ago. Well, it probably things have changed since those days, Sharon. So you might want to readdress the housing authority and give it a try again. Hey, Jazzy, I have two questions. How to apply for universal housing vouchers? Jazzy, we have to wait for that to get approved by the president. Look, guys, don't y'all dare email me about universal housing vouchers. They're not ready, okay? That's a pot cooking in the stove. And after the Democrats and the Republicans have sufficiently pulled each other's hair out, popped eyeballs, who knows what else, maybe another riot at the Capitol, then we'll probably get those. So they're going to happen. They're just not going to happen easily. There's going to be a bloody war politically. You remember that. So one year you might be holding a Republican voucher. The next year you might hold the Democratic one. Look, it's the honest truth, man. Politics does play a part in whether or not you're going to starve or you live in the woods with our government. It's just absurd. Anyways, if you look in Arizona, that would be awesome. Cause the homelessness has worsened. Yeah, absolutely. It's we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg with the pandemic and homelessness. In about, let's see, 12 days, the federal moratorium will be up, and then roughly 40 million people will be up for eviction, and then we're going to see the greatest migration of homelessness in U.S. history take place all the way through Christmas. So y'all should expect to see something you've never seen before. First the pandemic, and then you're going to watch a good portion of the population instantly become homeless, and then the president's going to have to address that. The numbers are too extreme at this point. They're going to have to declare some version of a national crisis on that. It's simply untenable. Carlos Jean Pierre, I have an issue finding an apartment in Massachusetts. I have bad credit, but I had a voucher. But I have a voucher. Okay. Oh, you have a voucher, but you can't find a place. Okay. That's another problem that a lot of people do face. If you need assistance there, I would suggest for any of you that are really looking to get things done, if you don't want to watch 200 videos, struggle through reading a bunch of garbage on Google and watching 4,000 videos, all that, look, I'm not that expensive as a consultant. My case in points have been proven. Either if I can't get you a voucher, then who the hell can? That's the point. If I own Section8Consulting.com, I rank #1 there. If I own YouTube, I don't own YouTube. If I own Section 8 Consulting on YouTube, and my channel is the biggest, it already speaks to its credibility in itself. So I don't need to convince you anything. But look, if you don't want to spend all your time and effort fooling with this, just hire somebody else who can do it for you. Moving on. Sky Smith. Hey, what's up, Jay? Nice to see you. Nice to see you too, Sky. Sammy Joe sounds like a lot easier. Yes, true. Man, y'all keep pumping these questions out where I can get to the bottom of the list. FATOU, I don't know how to say that right. I live in North Carolina. You live in a good state, but they're struggling over there with the housing authority. Miss Pierre, I got a voucher, but I have 3 months left. You can, and look, Pierre, you can get a 90-day extension, okay? But we're going to need just cause in that. So I advise you to go down to the doctor, and then maybe you sprained your ankle. If you can prove medical cause, we can extend that, okay? But look, don't try to work that system now. Jazzy, I see you laughing. Simba Joe, talking to somebody else. Miss Parker, Carlin Union, okay, talking to somebody else. Reflections of the day. Many states have kept the emergency rental assistance millions and pocketed it. Well, and some technicalities, I believe that there's some accuracy to that. I think what they've done is they've administratively just sat on the money. Well, you see what played out in New York, right? So everybody's getting put out of their house in New York, but yet they took 5 months to release the funds. Also, they convolute the process to make it nearly impossible for anybody to actually get it. So that's part of the game. So unforeseen blessings. Hi, Jay. How you doing, unforeseen blessings? Susan Bryant. Hello. How you doing, Mr. Bryant? Looks like a message was withheld. Gale Resources laughing and smiling. Reflections of the day. Colorado Attorney General refuses to enforce the presidential executive order for the eviction memorandum. Everyone's getting evicted. That's a rough situation for sure. Angela Terry, I need help getting a Section 8 voucher. Now, Angela Terry, I'm shocked that you would need help. this has been a cooking channel for the last 6 years. I had no idea you needed help. I'm just joking with you. Look, if you need help with a voucher, Angela, you got a couple options. You can spend your time reading, and you can go down to the housing authority and obviously apply online, or you can get somebody like myself that does consulting work that can assist you with that. Okay, I'm not here to fill in your name and your phone number and your application. I'm here to tell you about specific things that can greatly improve your position there. Whether or not you choose to do so is your business. Okay. Elsie Guzman. Now I hope you're not connected to that drug lord in Mexico. You know I was going to take that shot at you, right? So, from Colorado. Look, guys, I used to live out in Colorado, near, Jesus, where is it? Well, that's right out my head. B10 curious, can a pregnant woman qualify for a voucher? I think the better question there is what you're really asking me is if I'm pregnant, will that help me actually get better preference? Yes, it will, but not as much as you might think. So, yes. A lot of you guys are under the impression that one specific thing is going to be the nail in the coffin was the reason why I can give you a voucher. It's not true. You have to stack a bunch of things on top of others to force them into position of giving you a voucher and giving you a higher positioning on a waiting list. You've been homeless for 7 years. Well, that's a hell of a long time not to seek help, man. And you're 22, so you did it as a child, and you're turning 23. So you were 16 when you were turned out on the street. That's not good. Could use possibly, if we can prove you have a disability, we can set you up with Section 504. Rose, they passed the UBIT, but things were not working. So I'm not quite sure what that means, UBIT. Maybe you can let me know, Rose. Candace Candy Cam. That's interesting. I was legally evicted in June 2020. Illegally evicted. Okay. Well, there's a contradiction there. If a judge decided that you were to be put out, then that was legally legal. Now, if you're saying the premise in which they lied in order to get you evicted was that bad, then yeah, I can see your point. Yeah, I'm sorry that happened to you, Candace. I don't like to see anybody get evicted. Millionaire's Master. I like that name too. Candace, get on the trolley and Zillow and call everyone you can. Interesting advice. Election of the day, Colorado Springs. I've been up there. I can barely breathe because of the damn altitude. That's one problem with Denver, Colorado Springs, all those areas, mile high. You can't breathe, or if you're a southerner like me. Miss Parker, you need to apply for second chance housing. Sounds good. Florence Pearson, can you repeat what you said about the letter that you get signed at the homeless shelter? Okay, guys, so just so you know, a homeless letter is simply an action of you driving your car, taking a bus down to a homeless shelter. I advise you to go after lunchtime in your own city because the homeless stay overnight, they leave in the morning, and then when they get pushed out the door, they come back in the building again to eat breakfast. And then only hours later, they're fed at lunch, okay? Most of you who have been homeless know that. So you'd want to approach a homeless shelter, say around 1-ish to 3-ish when it's lowest. You walk up to the front desk if they permit you to do so. Hi, my name is Sally. I am homeless. I'm not here to stay, but look, I'm trying to get resources in town, and I would really need somebody to sign a homeless letter for me. Look, it's just a letter and a signature. They'll usually do it without question, okay? They understand that. Homeless shelters are not the only places that will give you a homeless letter. If you, in fact, type in the words homeless letter with a combination of your city name, you'll find there are lots of nonprofits that will happily fill one out for you while you're there to get free clothes, free socks, free food, whatever. Lots of places will write them. Thing is, guys, y'all got to do a little bit of Google searching for that. But the homeless shelter is probably the easier method between 1 and 3, okay? Now, guys, we're fixing to wrap this up because my voice is starting to strain, which means I've been talking too much. Of course, next week he took my keys. That didn't sound good. Millionaires, well, this guy's talking about your like. The air smells like dog urine. They said they don't smell it. I have an infection from it on medication. That doesn't sound good. Okay, guys. I think that's going to be our wrapping point, because at this point I see everybody's kind of intercommunicating with other people in the channel, and I think that's just fine. However, need to go and get some rest. I've got a bunch of other things I got to do. I've enjoyed talking with all of you, and I've answered a lot of questions. So again, guys, we're going to get later this year, we'll have the universal housing voucher. It may change names. And when that happens, if you guys are smart, you're not going to sit around and do an extra yoga lesson. You're not going to go down to the park or to the bar. You'd be smart to call me, because the minute they issue that, you better be damn well the first one on the list. Half the nation's going to want these. And if you guys are sitting around waiting for church on Sunday, it's going to be too late. You're going to be that asshole that's at the very tip last of this, and you're going to be crying, and you're going to come to my channel and beg me about, oh, can let me get a console? I don't understand why it took me. I accidentally waited 4 weeks. Well, how the hell did you do that? So I'm not being rude. The minute they make an announcement for that, you better get down to the internet and start applying for that stuff, okay? These things are coming around, and I don't want you to be late. There's no reason for it. All right, guys, I wish you all a good night. It's been a pleasure and an honor, and we'll see you again. And if you are interested in consulting with me, the very top link up, you should see links in the body of the description for booking a consult, my web address, as well as in this chat window. You can find it there as well. All right, good night. If I can find an exit window.